On Tuesday, July 18th, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call of directors.
Alice.
Here.
Barnes.
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
Gorman.
Here.
Kaiser.
Here.
Krautkramer.
Here.
Thiel.
Yep.
Tomcheck.
Present.
Zebro.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Item number 4, please. Item number 3, please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to suggest a change to our agenda this evening. I would ask that you move item number 10A, the MCA, report on the MCA Sports Complex up so we can let our guests return to their duties.
If you move it up after the approval of the minutes and prior to the public forum, is that what you're thinking, Corey?
Your call, sir.
Let's
Let's not make them sit through all hard. So.
I'll move it after the approval of the minutes.
If that's the
Did you
change,
make a motion with that change?
I would then approve that agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second with the change to move item 10A after item 5, which is the approval of the minutes. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 5 is the approval of the minutes. There are 2 sets of minutes in this packet, one from the regular education, Board of Education meeting on May 16th, and the other is the regular Board of Education meeting on June 20th. Looking for a motion to approve those minutes, or?
I would like to make a motion to make an amendment of the May 16, 2017, page number 7. I spent some time reviewing the actual tape itself. Future agenda item, I'd like to strike that because how it was presented was a suggestion from a discussion point earlier by Corey, and quite honestly, it's not correct the way it's reflected in the notes here. I can see how it was interpreted that way, but in their discussion, I advised we needed a plan in some regards, but after the meeting and the future agenda line item bullet, Corey's exact comment is that I want to answer his question, that was me.
So you're talking the list of facility priorities and policies?
That's correct.
Okay.
The record is correct that way.
So you would prefer to strike?
Strike the complete future agenda item as stated.
And are you making a motion to approve with that change?
Yes, I make a motion to approve with that change.
So it's to strike this, Kevin? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to follow on
Yeah.
future. It's to strike this?
Yeah, because again, that's not how it was stated in the record itself, how it was conducted during the meeting. I don't disagree with that item being on future agenda items. However, to be correct, per the record, that is not representative.
So this wasn't said, the list of facility priorities and policies?
The correct quote was, Corey said it, I want you to answer his question, he referred to me, the plan. And my interpretation of a plan is more than just facility priority list.
That continues to be a recurring issue. I really.
If you want to put it on today's future agenda items, that's fine. I'm just trying to make sure we're correct on the record, that's all.
What? I recall some of that. I'm just trying to understand where the Neola fit was in with that. And I think that's where you're...
My recollection of that is that Kevin was again saying that we need a plan, and my point has always been we have a plan, we paid for a plan, we had people come in and do the plan. And in that discussion, Kevin said, well, we need to have a plan. I said, here, I want this answered, I want this to have, for you to have this. I can't support the change until I go back and see that. It may be a moot point, because I don't know. I don't get it.
Just trying to make it the record correct, that's all I'm trying to do here. If we'd like to put that on future agenda items, we
Do
can
you want to watch the
do
video?
so today.
Because I have a link to the video right here.
Put it up there.
Jeannie, do you remember where that was?
Yes, I can tell you exactly where it was.
Future agenda, what number was that?
Would it have been at the end?
Yes, it's like,
Yes, it was right at the end.
That's where we typically.
4526. Right there, Edward.
Our recording system's working great.
We're not gonna be able to hear this.
Moving on to the other reports, item number 16.
Coming right after this.
So I just share with you some minutes from the April 15th meeting. Julie Edwards, with the building inspector Leslie, we had one for many, many years, and then somebody didn't have one for many years, so the director just allows that to rotate. She'll kind of like say, hey, you know, this district hasn't been where it is, yeah. But honestly, that's how it happens.
Just remind board members that item number 17 on future agenda items, Lori? I believe that the list is part of what we received for the I think you've been developing that plan for a lot of work. Prior to we started on it, or are we not? Right. Don't leave that box. Kevin, if you have some ideas on how to approach that,
So it's more than just the item that's stated here.
So could we restate it rather than strike it? Is it a facility plan that you were really looking for that evening?
That's a piece of the puzzle. There's other things in a strategic plan that includes a facility plan. So, you know, need a plan. I'm looking for an overall, where we are, where we're going. Facility plan is a piece of that. So that's the discussion, but the record needs to show exactly what happened at that point in time. It's referring to my previous discussion earlier in the meeting, and quite honestly, I would just strike it right now. My suggestion is to strike it, and if we'd like to revisit the facilities priority list, we make that a future agenda item on today's list. I think that would be a correct way of representing things.
And I think we did review that at the last board meeting in detail.
In painful detail for the fifth time.
So as a future agenda item, we would just take policies that were being looked at by Neola or brought up as possible future agenda items to discuss, and leave it at that.
I'm okay with that.
So that's your motion.
Yes.
Have a second.
Can you restate that?
We're striking the list of facility priorities and from the meeting minutes, because we're unclear as to what was requested.
Sure.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So, Corey abstains. So that's the May 16th regular Board of Education meeting minutes. How about the June 20th approval of the minutes?
Make the motion to approve.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve those minutes. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to item 10A, which is the building committee meeting report, the update on the MCAA sports complex. Gentlemen have the floor.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Brick. This is Sergeant First Class Beiersdorf of the 229 Engineer Company of the Wisconsin National Guard. We are back here in Mosinee for our annual training for the third year in a row. And first of all, I'd just like to thank you guys. This community has always done a great job of making us feel welcome, and this year is no different. So today, we're just kind of getting started. When I've done these meetings in the past, I've kind of summarized what we'd accomplished, but now I'm going to kind of go into detail about what we intend to do this year, as opposed to everything that we've already done. So a big priority for us is training, and we get a lot of new soldiers throughout the year who aren't very experienced on the equipment that we're using, so this is far and away our most important training event of the year, is having the kind of project that we can get out here, get them operating the equipment, and get them the skills that they need to succeed in the Army National Guard. So thank you again for giving us that kind of opportunity. As for the construction of the project itself, we have two main priorities this year with the project. So the first is for that second baseball field to bring in dirt and lift that up to grade. And the second is for the soccer field behind the existing field, is to level that off, get it ready to be seeded. What we want to do is when we leave here, we want to give you guys a product that you could step in and immediately start working with, rather than leaving it open-ended for the future. And we've been working with Steve Kaiser every day to try to make that happen. So far this year, as of today, we've moved about 5,000 cubic yards of dirt. We've been pulling it out of the ground and just slowly building up that baseball field. It takes time, but we've got all the iron in the world out there. We're just going to keep running it all day for as long as we can.
So Duck Pond will be gone.
Oh, God.
Sorry if you guys like that pond, but we're going to get rid of it. Once again, we've had great working relations, not just with Steve, but with everyone that we've encountered in town. The fire department's been nothing but polite, even though we've been in their backyard, and even the police department with our limited encounters with them. So thank you guys for being such a great host, and we hope we can leave something good for you. To go more in detail with the project, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant First Class Beiersdorf. He is our subject matter expert on all things construction and is the man overseeing all the operations and making things happen.
Thank you, sir. So, my name is Sergeant First Class Beiersdorf. I had the opportunity to work with Steve 2 years ago. We broke ground, and that was a big part. We had a small crew here at that time. I met several of you at that original meeting, and it was pretty neat to be part of the original groundbreaking efforts. I don't live too far from here. I'm over in Wapaka, but to be able to bring friends and family over here and just show them what I can do in the National Guard, or what my 90 soldiers living out in these tents right now can do, it's amazing. So in addition to just teaching our soldiers how to operate bulldozers and graders, there's so much more in depth with that when you're training for a war or combat zone situation. You're giving leaders the opportunity to be put in positions where they've never been before. And so it's my task essentially to not only be the overall person in charge of the construction operations, but to delegate NCOIC's non-commissioned officers in charge of each individual tasks. So I've broken them down to who I see might be the junior enlisted that are going to take over my shoes someday, just like we should be doing in our schools or in our communities. With that, I can't thank you enough for giving us the opportunity to come back here for now 3 years in a row and allow us not only to train our soldiers with building soccer fields and baseball diamonds, but they're going to have the basics from waking up early in the morning, living in a combat zone, using generators for 2 weeks at a time, and being part of that operation outside of just the earthwork. It was so much more time spent away from their families. It might only be for 2 weeks. That's a big part of it. Let them know they need to call home. taking 18-year-old medics and telling them you're in charge of this whole people. What are you going to do if someone gets hurt or injured? Putting them in them types of scenarios. We can't do that from our armory. So with that, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to having another week and a half with you guys.
Gentlemen, I'm really glad that you're here. And it's truly our community that's blessed by your presence and by the efforts. So glad you're joining us, glad you're useful. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So Thursday is our chance to feed them hopefully one good meal. One good meal, and I'm super excited because a lot of credit to Paul Reinschmidt, who reached out to a number of businesses and asked, can you do brats, can you donate buns, can you donate soda, water, cookies, and he got a number of people to donate to the project, so we're pretty excited about all those people, and certainly very, very appreciative of them. Our entire cookout will be donated. We even have some people donating just their time to come in and serve. So if you'd like to come in on Thursday, say thank you to the troops, that would be great. Kind of see the tent city. It's very interesting, so come out there and say hello. You'll see quite a bit of coverage this week. We did do a press release out to all of the major news people in our area. We've got a spot on channel 7 tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We've got just really everybody coming at different points over the next few days to share and what this complex is going to mean to the community. So greatly appreciated.
And what time is that lunch?
11:30 noon. 11:30 noon.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guys are supposed to come over at 11:45 to start eating, so.
Okay.
we're gonna
My
start
guess is
cooking
they're going
like
to be on
10.
time, right?
Probably.
Right, exactly. So that would be great. I mean, last year it poured, it was pouring rain, absolutely pouring rain. But it was nice because we held it inside. The fire department opened up their doors and Steve carted over all the tables and chairs. So it's moving along. They're doing good work.
So where do you meet in?
Right by the fire department.
Right there.
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be
just
on.
come back by the fire department.
Alrighty, thanks. Moving on to item number 6, it's the public forum. The public forum provides the public with the opportunity to ask questions about or address issues included on the school board meeting agenda. General operating rules of the public forum will be determined by the board president once the number of people wishing to speak is identified on the night of the meeting. Prior to addressing the board, please clearly state your name and address. Is there anyone in the audience this evening that would like to address the board? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone wanting to address the board this evening? Seeing nobody, we'll move on to item number 7, which is special presentations, Google training for board members.
Can we refuse?
Everything you wanted to know and a bunch of stuff you probably did. So the questions come up just to give you kind of some real basics, dipping your toes in the water of some of the big important things. Obviously, you've got a new device in front of you tonight. We're going back from the Chromebook to the laptop because of some of the transition to board book and some of the bigger pieces to it. The biggest thing is an easier ability for you to access PDFs, and a lot of what you're getting now is in that PDF form, and it makes it a lot easier to be able to do that. They're a little bit more secure. There's a lot more options that come up on it. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible while still giving you a lot of good information. So what I did is I put a lot of it on the 2 handouts that are in front of you. Lots of color, right? That's always a key. Children and adults, it makes no difference. People like color. Page 1 of it is, it's got Google and Board Book written on it. There's 2 things that I want to go over with you right now. If your computer is not on right now, if you hit just tap the power button and it'll wake it up. And your password is written over on the right hand side of that sheet of paper. So it says your username and your password. There's 2 things. Your username is the same when you log into a computer. You'll notice I've got your username, for most of you it's your first initial and your last name. I've got it underlined and said computer, because that is what you put into a computer. I already did that for you tonight. And then behind that it says @mosinee.org. That's your email address. So it's the same username, just @mosinee.org. One of the questions that Janie and Amy had emailed you earlier is your willingness and how you want to set up emails. From time to time I've gotten some questions about getting emails to you and how you'd like to make that happen easiest. The easiest of options, if you don't want to have another email, is to forward your Mosinee Schools email to another email. It's a very simple setup. It means you only have to check one spot. You don't get a lot of emails, but from time to time someone might email you, and we hate to have that sit there for a month without any notification. I've done it for a few people, case by case. If you would like that to happen, afterwards tonight, if you'd let me know, I'll do that individually with you. It takes 2 minutes to set it up, and we can forward it to any personal email you'd like, a work email if you'd like. It's a very simple process to go through and switch any of that over. Okay? So what I want you to do here is log in to your computer, and then right now what you got up is an agenda from Ann in your email. Okay? So if you go into your email real quick here, and again, if you don't have your computer on, you can certainly turn it on. Power button will, if you tap the power button, it'll wake it back up. You can put your password in and wake your machine up. Okay, and then once you do that, I'll show you. On that sheet of paper, it looks like this. So the very first sheet of paper looks like this. We're going to go over two things. The first one is BoardBook. So BoardBook's the new software. It's the new housing spot for all board agendas. It's the same software right now that Everest and Wausau are using. Stevens Point's got something very, very similar to this. The biggest benefits that we gain, if you're wondering, it wasn't broke, why are we trying to fix something out of this? From our perspective, from the district's perspective, what we gain out of this is it's a lot easier for us to disseminate information to you guys, separating out what the administrators get, what you get, what the public gets, what the teachers get. It really puts that information in a lot more palatable format for them. So right now you have an email. If you go in your email, okay, you have your email up right now. That's what Ann set the agenda in. There is an email in there. So if you go to, I'll show you what it looks like. So if you're in your email, it's going to look like this. This is a dummy account, looks like this. If you're not in this and you've got the email up from Ann right now, you should see right here there's a little back arrow right here. If you click that little back arrow, it'll take you back out to your inbox. Some of you, depending on how many emails you've gotten in here, you might have a couple extra things. What I want you to find is there is an email that came to you from BoardBook. It doesn't say BoardBook on it. It actually says,
Welcome to BoardBook.
It says, welcome to BoardBook in the message. The email is from no reply right here. So it says no reply, welcome to BoardBook. Okay, so if you find that email, click on it, open that email up. Let me know if you don't have it.
Okay, got it.
You don't make.
July 7th.
Yeah, July 7th.
You gotta get back to.
Temporary password too?
Okay.
So, this is your BoardBook account. I already wrote down your username for you.
Let's see if everybody's there.
Figure out what he's talking about. That gets you back to all the inbox. Okay. Now you're gonna look for this welcome to BoardBook. This is where
Yeah, there. Yep.
I'm done.
So all of yours, BoardBook automatically creates a username for you. I didn't control that. If yours is anything other than first initial, last name, it's because someone else in the world is in BoardBook with your same name. So apparently there's another M. Barnes somewhere. So yours is, I think, Diane, yours has numbers attached to it. Just means someone else has that name already chosen. Everyone else, just first initial, last name on there. What I want you to do is about halfway down, is everybody in that email right now? About halfway down in that email, it says, board book login page. Okay, so click on that link that's in there. Okay, and now it's going to open another tab, and it's going to have this board book link in there. Your username is written on the sheet of paper I gave you, and again, most of you it's your first initial. It is, yep. First initial, last name. A few of you have it differently. And now, the only other thing you have to do is
Temporary password?
you've got that temporary password. So you got two tabs open right now. Your second tab right now is board book, and right up here, your inbox, your email inbox is still open. So you might have to click back and forth on them. Yep. If you click and highlight it, and then copy.
So enter.
Yep. And then enter your password, Control C. And then
How do I go get
if
out?
you go back up here,
Okay,
and then click there, and then Control V, and paste that temporary password in.
okay, gotcha, thank you.
It's a cheat you
And
need
I
to
can
learn.
do a lot.
Yep.
That email is always gonna be there. Okay?
Mine
Now
was
you're
not
in.
successful.
Now you-
Hey, if it takes you to a page that says, it's gonna take you to a page that asks you to set up some security questions.
Oh, good.
Gotta meet the requirements.
Yeah.
Stay on.
This board is not computer friendly, there's no.
One thing that this will do for us is that the public can go, they don't have to come into the office to get the board packet information. It will be available on board book for them.
It's not taking my
So that was one of our
This is
I'm sorry, Ann, what did you say?
Yeah.
is that the public will be able to access our board packet online.
Okay, great.
And you're gonna see that board packet in your board book right now.
Is it, it's a G capital here?
What?
Just tell me.
Yep, you can.
Just do it.
No meetings?
Highlight it.
You don't have anything in right now.
Control C. Control C.
So the only other thing I want you to do while you're in here is the very first page you get brought up to says your current password and then set a new password. I don't want to know it. I've left that space blank on your sheet right here. So it says what's your current password, you just can paste in or type in what that temporary password is and then change it to whatever you want. You can change it to the same one that we have for Google. It makes no difference.
So if I want to put my current one in there, I just control.
Control V again, yep. And then change that new password. You can use the same one I gave you for Google.
Will your Google one work? I thought it said you can't use your first one.
It should work if you have numbers attached to it. It should.
Okay, I'm gonna try it then.
I won't tell you that's what mine is because I don't want you to.
I don't wanna help you with your own.
Could be dangerous.
And then I left you a space on there if you want to write your password in. You can write your password in on that board book spot.
Or we can use the same.
Yeah. What Matt's saying is that some of it says you're not supposed to use your last name, so see if they'll kick it back to you.
Okay, I'm gonna see.
That's to put your username and password right on your computer too.
Yeah, it says new password.
It's like sticky
Yeah.
note right on,
Sticky notes.
sticky note right on the front of the computer so you don't forget.
I got so many passwords, you know.
So
Forget it.
that's why. So
Meetings canceled.
so this question's come up to say, should you write your passwords down? How, you know, and the tech director's standing here writing a password down for you.
Right.
Here's the reality of what I would say, and this is what we tell the staff and what I tell the students.
What?
A lot of it depends on what you're doing for this. You guys do not have the ability to post anything in board book. So to say someone could wreak havoc in board book from your account is not accurate. You know, there's nothing that could happen to that. You know, it depends on what your account is logging into is really the way that we term that. while you're doing that, some of you maybe are still operating on there. What I want you to do is, for everybody else, if you look at the second sheet I gave you, it says troubleshooting your computer. I've broken it down into the 4 most basic areas of things that I think you're going to be exposed to it some way. The biggest thing that I want you to see on here is connecting to the internet. If you choose to take your laptop home so you can access things for the meeting, in the bottom right-hand corner I have a picture of what it looks like and highlighted what it looks like to connect to Wi-Fi. We asked, the email that they sent out asked you if you have Wi-Fi at home. If you don't have Wi-Fi at home, I've brought Ethernet cables tonight so you can plug in and you'll see the symbol that shows up on there. Your home Wi-Fi connections should show up. Here at school we have 3 different networks. Those are the 3 that are on the sheet. You can really connect to any of the 3. Here at school, the reason we have 3 different networks is to try to separate our traffic out so everyone's not traveling on the same network. It makes it a little easier for us to lock different things down for students and staff versus the general public. The upper right-hand corner, the question comes up a lot about, you don't want to go through the entire rigmarole every time you go to a website, so BoardBook's a great example. Every time you want to use BoardBook, you don't want to have to go through your email and find it and be able to recall all of that. If you look in the address bar across the top, so where the writing is, it says HTTPS and then boardbook.org, and it's got the big address bar where you would type in. If you look on the far right side of that, there's a blank star. Click that blank star, and it'll turn it blue. This is creating a bookmark. So you can see on mine right now, it looks like this. What do you want to bookmark? Now yours, it pre-fills it to say board book, and then really all you have to do, it's automatically going to put it in your bookmarks bar, which is across the top. If you click done there, it'll show up as, you'll see board book there show up in your address bar. Now every single time you come to a board meeting, you don't have to go through and type anything. That is just bookmarked for you. In the past, we've gone around to all of your computers and pulled stuff up for you. Partially for some security reasons, it's easier for you to just be able to have access to that. So that blue star is the very simple way to keep track of everything. It's bookmarking, it's across, it doesn't matter what internet platform you use, you can have a bookmark on there. If you look directly above that blue star, you see my name up on the screen up on mine. You should see your name up above on yours. Everybody see their name? Okay. What this is called, this is probably the most confusing thing about Google, but you're logged into the computer right now. I logged you in tonight, and you're also logged into Google Chrome, the browser you're using. This is always the way that you can check if you're logged in. If you're not logged in, you'll see a little blank guy sitting up there. So if you're not logged in, you'll see a little guy. What that does is that, the far up one above that, yep, right there. So what that does is that's what allows you to get all of your bookmarks and store all of your history and everything that makes your internet experience unique to you. That's what's controlling it, that account up there. Can you click on that one once again? So you can see the big benefit, and this is like 4 steps down the road, the reason why, so I have 4 different things in here. If you have a personal email and a school email, people do this 15 different ways, but the idea of being able to cycle between your accounts, you want to check your personal, then you want to check your school, then you want to check this. This is Google's aha moment to say, hey, look at how simple we've made this. Instead of logging out, logging back in a different account, they say, well, you know what, just create different users here. So I've got my school one, my administrator account, our Chrome Savers for our Chrome Savers class, the kids fixing the devices. We have different accounts for all, different emails for all those things. This allows me just to toggle back and forth between them. So that's why, right now you're only having 1 account in there, but that's what's controlling all of these bookmarks through there. If you want to add different websites, you can bookmark anything. You can go to yahoo.com and click that little blue star again, and it'll add the bookmarks across your screen just like you see I've got 4 on mine right now. You might have 1 or 2 if this is the first one you've had on there. The other prompt that comes up an awful lot is if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner of the sheet I gave you, the troubleshooting sheet, you'll see that it says saved passwords. This question comes up a lot as well. You type in a password, you type in your username, and you see this little prompt right here shows up in the top right. It's right here, it shows up on the screen. Do you want Google to save your passwords for you? Google spends a lot more time, effort, and money on protecting passwords than we do, I'm sorry to say. They've got guys holed up in a closet in California. And what they do is they encrypt all the passwords that come in, so when you enter in a password and you say, save this password, Google stores it for you, but it doesn't look exactly the same. When Google takes that password in, they do some pretty heavy levels of encryption to protect it in case there's a massive breach of information that gets out. We allow our students, we allow our staff to save passwords, but I put the little caveat on there. You obviously, when you're doing this, it's a very great benefit. I've got 50 different passwords saved for all of the different accounts, because otherwise you're going to have sticky notes. This is a very good benefit. You just have to be wary of sensitive information. We tell staff and students, obviously banking information and stuff that's very sensitive, we never store any of that. We recommend never storing anything on any computer, not just a school computer. But saving of passwords, that's the prompt that you'll see. The really nice benefit is Google does a pretty nice job of keeping all those passwords for you, of storing them all. And then this is next level, but just so you understand kind of where they go. And you can do this if you'd like, you can follow along, but you can just look on my screen too. The 3 little dots in the upper corner are your settings whenever you're in Google. When you click on that, you can see about 2/3 of the way down it says settings. So this is everything about your Google experience here. So when you're logged in, like I'm logged in right now, this is everything related to my account. Way down at the bottom there's an advanced button, and then you can see it says right here, passwords and forms. Just to give you an idea of how Google does this, if I click on my managed passwords, this is every password Google stores for me. So you can see here's all of my accounts, and here's all of my passwords, and they're all blanked out. Okay? In order for me to see my own password, I have to enter in my password to log into my computer. So I can't just go in and randomly get all of these, but it's a nice benefit, for staff members, for you guys, because holy cow, how are you ever going to remember all those passwords? If you click no, so if you click never on saving a password, you can see here's all my never saved passwords. These are passwords that I've said I don't want you to ever store on I don't want you to store on these passwords. It doesn't ask me anymore to store any of that stuff then. Okay? So it's a nice benefit to have. The last piece is just getting you a little more familiar with what is on your computer. If you minimize all of your tabs, so in the top right-hand corner you've got the minimize, the maximize, and then the exit out. So you minimize everything, it'll take you to your desktop. Now you know how you tell your kids and grandkids, do as I say, not as I do? This is a do as I say, not as I do moment right now for me. Storing stuff on your desktop.
Our tax director would not be happy.
Yeah, he'd be
He saw
very
this.
unhappy.
He'd be very disappointed.
So here's the good news. I back all of my stuff up every night on an external hard drive, but we tell our staff members, do not store things on your desktop, because if you dropped that computer when you walked out and there was an issue with your hard drive, there is nothing I can do. Everything that's here would be lost.
You hear that, Darlene?
It's not backed up anywhere but on your physical computer. Here in the district, we offer a network drive, so a backup that is housed right over in the high school off the IMC. And then Google Drive is the new craze, really for about the last 5-6 years, of people being able to back things up in a cloud basis, so back things up remotely. And Google, in their infinite wisdom, has given schools the ability to do that for free. So they charge personal businesses, they charge personal people, they give you some free. Here at school, we have unlimited storage. So take a look at your desktop here. If you minimize all your screens and look at your desktop, just to give you an idea of what you have, things that you might find somewhat useful.
Brady, before you start.
Yeah.
You're okay with shortcuts?
Shortcuts are perfectly fine. No issues with shortcuts.
Thank
It's
you.
physically saving documents, physically saving videos, all that stuff on there. There's 4 things I just want to point out to you. Connecting to the internet here at school, we recommend our browser that we support is Internet Explorer. You maybe use Internet Explorer, the little IE, the little blue E. Some people use Firefox, the globe with the little fox laying across it. Browsers are browsers. At school, we obviously have focused on Google Chrome because it's so compatible with Chromebooks for our students. That's the browser you're logged into right now. If you've never seen that symbol before, that is what you would look for to be able to connect to the internet then. And there's a symbol on your desktop for it. Your Google Drive, you have a Google Drive account automatically. It's the same password that your Google account is on your password sheet there. Same access to it. If you would like to store files and be able to access them anywhere, that's the ticket to it. And shares a lot of things with you in Google Drive already. All of those hyperlinked agendas that you get, those are all in Google Drive. So this is something that has really revolutionized the way that teachers do business in schools because it's created open opportunities for students to be able to pull their files from anywhere. That's a pretty big game changer.
Where do I access Google Drive from?
So the easiest, everything in Google is whatever it is you want, .google.com. So mail.google.com, drive.google.com, calendar.google.com. Everything in Google is related to, you know, the name and then whatever it is. Your other option is always, whenever you go to a new window, if you just leave it right there for a second. I call it the Google waffle. Right there, those little 9 dots in the top corner.
Sure.
This is everything in your Google account. When you click on it, they rate stuff based on the popularity. So obviously your email, your calendar, and your drive are really big ones.
And because I'm signed in, I'm already into it.
Already in. Because you're signed in right here, you're already in. So if you weren't signed in right here, and there was a little blue guy right there, Google would come up and say, hey, you gotta log into your Google account because we don't know who you are. So if you click Drive, now you'll see all of these documents. If you've got anything in your Drive, you'll see all of these documents that are housed here. Obviously at school we use this an unbelievable amount. So to give you just an outside idea, so 22 gigabytes worth of information. If we had to pay to back all of that stuff on our own systems for every single employee, it'd be crazy. So until Google starts charging us, knock on wood, right? Thankfully, they're making enough money in other areas, so.
They did have a little hiccup recently, though. didn't
They did. So it was about 2 months ago. Some of you maybe saw that email, or I think got the phone call. Google basically, someone very, very intelligently used Google and actually had you agree to send something out from your own account. So when you were clicking through an email, shortly after that, when we talked to the staff, that one is probably the best I've ever seen in terms of how well they crafted it. Usually there's spelling errors, or there's usually some hiccups to it. The good news is because Google is so invested in this, within about an hour, Google had remotely gone into every single person there was about 90 million affected users. They had gone into every person's account and pulled out all of those things. I can't imagine the scale at which they were working on that, but they've obviously got a pretty strong investment in making it happen. So.
Here's one thing, with these live links, so you're clicking on this and it takes you to that document. You can decide how you're sharing this document with different people. So right now, if you guys click into this, you don't have editing rights, so you can't change anything in here. If I change this and I said I would like Diane to have editing rights, Diane can now
Dan just got an email that said, hey,
click
Ann's
on
invited you to have access to it.
And Diane could say, you know what, I also want training on my email. I want training on Google Drive.
So this is outside of tonight, but just to give you an idea of how our schools are really functioning, and when you talk about the benefits of what the one-to-one Chromebooks have provided, you imagine you're working on an assignment, and up here you can see who's on here. That's my symbol. I'm on my computer. Anne's on her computer. Right now, if you hover over that, you can see who else is on here. So Corey's on here right now. Diane's on here right now. And you can see exactly where their mouse cursor is. You can see any changes they make. So from a student project standpoint, you literally can have 25 kids all working on the same document at one time. It's just a game changer for the way that schools really operate on
What if
things.
the edits overlap though? How does it manage that?
So really, really cool feature of it, if you go over here and click File. So anytime there's any editing going on, just click on See Revision History. So you can literally backtrack. So Anne started this document July 6th. I can backtrack to any point in this document's history. And if you click, say, on this version, Amy made a change on it. Let's say something happened, document had big issues to it. I can actually go back and restore to that previous version at any point in time through the document's history. So if there was an overlap and something happened that something got overwritten, or you can literally pull back. I mean, there are documents in school that have, 1,000 edits over here because they've been going for a long time.
And one thing that we do a lot of is I may not really know if this is really what I want to do, so I could just make a copy of this. And then there's an exact copy of it. It says copy, but I could mess around in this and then go back to Amy and say, hey, I think I've got it straight. Let's use this version. So it is it's incredibly intuitive as far as inquiring, to work back and forth together. And generally I do view only rights, but when I'm deciding this, like approval to develop a committee, I worked on this and, Julie, what's your input? How would you like to do this? And so that's really how it'll work, how it works.
The only other thing I want to point out to you, I know it's information overload. The only other thing is on that first sheet, on the very bottom, it's got a purple banner on it. About a month ago, we rolled to our new website, so that the interface to the whole MosineeSchools.org looks different right now than what it did. And the one thing I want to point out to you is the stuff that specifically relates to you guys. So I've highlighted, there's 7 tabs across the top of our website. The big one for you is if you go to MosineeSchools.org and you go District, which is the first tab.
What a beautiful website.
Yes, for now, and then we'll bookmark it then. So the part that really relates to you guys, if you click right here, yeah. So it's right now, it's shrinking our screen down. It looks bigger on yours, but click on the 3 dots or the 3 lines right there. And then basically, if you go to the district tab here, school board is the big one for you guys. And just to give you an idea of the way that this operates, so once we're fully functional with board books will live out of here. Like Ann had said, this gives the community an ability to see all of the agendas, to see all of the information that's valuable to them. This is also, if you get asked by community members, I want to watch a video, I want to see last month's board meeting, it is right on here. So if you click on that video link, it's a direct link out to our video page. And right now, all of our videos, if you click right here, all of our videos are on YouTube in 30-minute segments, because that's the easiest way to widely get it to people. You can see the board meeting, 620 part 2, 620 part 1, 516 part 1, 516 part 2, and they're all broken up into about 30 to 60-minute video increments. So if people ask you, everything is really on the website available to them.
And this is where all the packet information will live, so. Great.
So next month, when we roll with the first month of board book, I'll take a couple minutes with you and just kind of explain some of the pieces. Again, you're welcome to take the sheets with you if you got questions, or if you'd like me to set up your forwarding email afterwards, I can do that. If you don't want me to talk to you again for a month, I understand that too.
And if you want to if you want one-on-one training, does pretty good, right?
Does.
Sorry,
Yeah,
right?
you-
Mike? Just come on in.
From the time that board book is set up, it
My wife.
holds all of their previous funds.
And Brady is more than happy to,
Yep.
you know, we do house calls, we will help you.
Why did I come here?
Hey Brady, now all this is interlinked with Apple. We're Apple at home.
Mhm.
So everything that's web-based, board book's web-based, so it's on the internet, it's housed remotely. You can access that same URL, that same link on a Mac, on an iPad, on anything. That's part of the reason that board book was chosen, was it really can go across just about anything, so, yes.
I have one question. How do you get the 10PI machine to work?
I'll set that up. I'll set it up afterwards for you.
I got one at home that's doing the same.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Really take Brady up on training.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Brady.
Yes.
Lock in a
If there's no other questions for Brady, we'll move on to item C, 7C, which is seclusion and restraint report.
Hi, everyone. I'm here tonight to give the annual board report, which is something that we need to do for both the policy and also Act 125. It's required to let you know some information about seclusion and restraint. The Act 125, it applies to all students, not just students with disabilities. It applies to staff, independent contractors, and student teachers, but not law enforcement. And again, like I said, we need an annual report each year before September 1st. Restraint, the way it's defined is it reduces a student to move freely. A staff must be trained, and we do provide training in our district, non-crisis intervention to all our staff. The staff are trained in ways to de-escalate the students, and restraint is always the last resort. We have 2 staff in our district that are trained. They go to a 1-week training, and they have to keep up their training hours each year. And we have Darren and Kayla that are trained. And we also record all our staff members that are trained because they have to be recertified every year. And if it's a student with a disability, we have to make sure that we look at the behavior and see what its function is, and also to come up with some positive interventions on their IEPs. Seclusion is an involuntary confinement where a student is not prevented to be able to leave an area, and staff must monitor the student. The room must be safe, and it should not be locked. We have to report to parents. We try to do it the same day. If we're unable to contact the parents, we have to do it no more than 2 days. The report is written up within 2 days and available to the parents, but we normally try to do it on the same day. And also, both the teachers give a copy to myself and to their building principal. The next slide talks about all the data from this past school year. There's 3 areas that are required to let you know about in each of the buildings. One of the nice things this year from the previous year is at the elementary school, we went down 30 incidences, and at the middle school, we reduced it by 18. And high school went up 1, but if you see, it's only 1 student. So, but that was really, really good for our staff. We've had a lot of training and a lot of interventions that we've been working on, and it shows that it's really made a difference. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go this way, if that's okay. I can go right over it. There you go. It's easier to turn that way.
Brings us to item number 8, which is old business. Item 8A is discussion and possible decision. approval to develop a committee to organize annual recognition of Mosinee School District alumni.
I just wanted to share an update on this. It was brought forward by Mike. Julie has some thoughts about this, our Director of Instruction. She's going to lead this committee. It will convene in late August to establish the parameters for an alumni recognition program. And Julie's just been looking at a couple of school districts and what their process and procedures are. So it's just an update for you. Get a new friend to work with.
Get the door.
Yeah.
Are you looking for board members to commit to that committee
Well, I
now,
jumped
or is
on
it going
board,
to be
but-
after?
We did Kevin.
I think, yeah, I was.
Kevin and Mike.
You good?
Had
Okay,
decided.
all right.
I feel it's well represented.
Just wanted to make sure. Item number 9, new business, discussion and possible decision, approval of annual meeting agenda.
This is the standard agenda, right? So, motion to approve.
A motion and a second, any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 9B is discussion and possible decision, approval of board-adopted curriculum and instructional standards for the 2017-18 school year pursuant to Act 55.
Your final? Are you so excited?
No, I'm a little misty.
You need to take acting lessons.
Outstanding says can't deal with that. This is an annual item as well. Act 55, state legislative act, requires each board to adopt the academic standards that will be in place for the following school year. In this case, for the 17-18 school year. I've included a bit of background information for you related to the standards and a framework and how we've done our work in the district the past 3 years and before that around the Wisconsin Model Academic Standards. I've included some links for you, and Brady now probably has you bookmarking those links vigorously in your account so you can reach them 24/7. The DPI site frames the standards, and then there are links to all the standards for all the areas, both in classes that we would have in our district and classes that we don't have yet. You know, for example, dance and some of those areas. Standards been in place for several decades now. They're also used to inform our statewide assessments. Our state assessments are built around those standards, so when our students take the forward exam and when you hear Nate and Josh talk about college and career readiness at the middle school and high school, that's where these are all framed, and that's where our state, when they form committees, pull their information from.
Remember, anytime anything is underlined, you can see that there's a hyperlink to that too in the presentation.
Again, been in place since 1998. They provide clear and precise language in each subject area as well. I pulled an example from science. That's where I started and that's where I'm going out. Emphasis on the vocabulary that all students should know, not only to be literate in science, but, and again, it's also reflected in our state assessments that we go around. So just a few examples from that, as well as some examples of our framework in science at grades 4, 8, and 12. Other areas are defined by individual grade level, kind of depends on the content area. Math and ELA, for example, are defined on a yearly basis. Science, social studies, some of the other areas, they give us benchmarks at grades 4, 8, and 12, but they don't have the precise year-to-year progressions done yet at the state level. We do that locally.